Well, welcome back. Joining us in the studio this week, we're delighted to have Ms. Sandy Smolnicky, our grants officer. How's it going, Sandy?
Oh, great. I have the best job ever. The best job in county government. No
Better
doubt
than
about
Kristen's
it.
job?
I think so.
Probably.
Wow.
I think so.
And
yeah.
you're so excited about it. I can't wait to hear about it. So
Oh,
talk to us about what a grants officer does.
Well, thank you. Well, in August of 2017, County Executive Steve Shue saw fit to sort of organize how the county is receiving its grants, using its grants, managing its grants. And so my job is to make sure that we're getting the most out of them to improve the life of citizens in Anne Arundel County. It's a great
for our
job.
buck.
Right, so I've got to work with all the departments, and we have some really hardworking people who write amazing grants in our departments. Every time I went from one department to the next one was my favorite department. You know, people just so passionate about what they're doing, and so it just makes makes my job easier to find new sources of grants or creative sources that we can use to better the life of residents here.
Love it. Now tell us about the kind of grants that are out there for counties.
Oh, okay. So, you don't just look under a rock and find a grant. You know, you've really got to do something to
If only
find.
it were that easy.
I know.
I found out there is not a website where it just tells you all of them.
No,
There's your list of available grants.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of really great websites, grants.gov, and then, of course, the Maryland's grants website. But, the kinds of grants that are available for county government, we've got federal, state, and then some local and private. So I'm very fortunate. We have 250 grants that come into the county, all different sorts of grants. So if you think about the county departments, then you realize you can pretty much walk anywhere in the county and you'll see grants at work. So maybe we can do that sometime. But
I like that.
We have the Department of Aging, so you have, who wouldn't want to help a senior? Aging needs respite services at times. Sometimes Medicare and Medicaid added together cannot get them into an apartment. We have referral services. All of that is funded through grants. And of course, the substance abuse treatment and prevention is funded in part by grants. But some things you may not think about, like shoreline restoration. The police have numerous initiatives such as vehicle theft prevention and alcohol compliance checks. A lot of their overtime, some of the quality of life stuff that they do is funded by grants. Of course, MEMA. I mean, we could go on for hours about how much effort is funded by grants in this county. We're very fortunate.
And as good as all the individuals in the departments are at applying for grants and receiving grants, this is kind of a big management technique by the county executive that, you see this with boards and commissions and with all kinds of different places where he came in and he saw, okay, we're doing all this, but it's kind of like this department's doing their thing and this department's doing their thing. We need to find a way where everybody is on the same page, and here comes Sandy Smolnicky to take care of it.
Absolutely. I'm trying. We do have multiple ways because everybody's different. Everybody's an individual, and they are doing a fine job. So my job is to streamline some of that, is to take the burden off of them, to take the paperwork burden off of them, and to make their job easier. Because often, the folks in the department who are writing the grants, they have other things to do too. Grants is not their sole job. Now,
right.
The largest department, health, certainly there are people who only write grants and who manage the grants. So we have the grant writer, the program part, and we have the finance part. What was sort of missing before I came was attention to the program part, making sure that, as you point out, Dave, that the grants are aligning with the county executive strategic goals. So that's the other piece of what I do, is make everything streamlined.
Well, tell us about, so you are a spreadsheet guru. You are excellent at
Ooh.
spreadsheets. I've seen her spreadsheets. She does Gantt charts. We'll talk about Gantt charts
How
later.
exciting.
But I know, it's very exciting. And I'm going to make it even more exciting. You just got a new toy that is a grants management system. Tell us just roughly what that does. What is it?
I can barely remain in my seat about this.
It's so exciting.
I mean, I have been running around the office talking about this. It is great. We have just contracted with a company called eCivis, and it is a grants management software company. So what they do is They will come in and make it super easy, automated to research grants. So what I will do is select the 150 users, and we have actually probably more than 150 users, and they will we will be able to automate how we search for grants, how we submit grants. There will be a repository of successful grants, even ones that we didn't write. We'll have access to all that great information that we can use to go ahead and try to leverage some more grants.
Because writing grants is a very specific skill, and it's almost like, it reminds me of like when you take a history class in college and there's like a formula to it, you know, like writing a history term paper. It's not so much about great writing as much as it is about, you gotta hit all these bases. You have to follow directions, you have to answer every single specific thing that the grant solicitation mentions, and that's a skill that not everyone has. You have to be a grant person to be able to write these things.
Interesting point that we do have some that are very labor intensive. We also have some that are simply we get every year, and they're one form, you fill it out. We never kind of really know how much we're going to get. And then we get sometime into the spring, so right about now, there may be some extra money, and we get notices of that. But as you point out, it's very time consuming. So right now, our departments are working on grants that we won't know that we'll receive until maybe August or September.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So you have to be very patient, and therefore planning and looking ahead is very, very important. You don't want to write the wrong grant, because if you write the wrong grant, then you've got way too much where you go, oh my gosh, how did we get this grant? Why did we get this grant? You know, you've got to make sure that it really is going to fund something that we actually need.
How many grants do you think we have?
We have 264.
264.
that
Are we looking at more?
We absolutely need more. The reason we need more is we're always looking at more, but we don't want to overburden the staff in place right now. But I mean, we have needs. We have equipment needs. Clearly, we have human services needs, mental health needs. There's needs in our schools system. There's needs. The needs are basically very overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming.
They're infinite.
They're infinite.
Yeah.
So we have to look at ways to overcome them and target strategically with evidence-based practices with our grants. So that's my job as well. So the interesting thing that I discovered today, in fact, was that we have 38 new grants that our departments found in the last year. I thought, 38 new grants, and most of them are 1 year in duration. So there's this constant churning and fluid effort that is behind the scenes in county government that I'm sort of uncovering and wanting to improve.
That's awesome.
What about citizens and nonprofits? Can they apply for grants from the county?
Well, yeah, absolutely. The best way for a nonprofit to apply for a grant would be to contact either me or the department that they think is most aligned with their mission. So you've got to start with your mission, and there are grant funds available at the department level. So the other twist on this is I'm also responsible for administering the Anne Arundel County Fund, and so what I do there is as you know, the Community Foundation is the recipient of the funds. I am the position that makes certain that the funds are going to be spent in a way that the donor requires, and that there's an actual need that's being fulfilled. So to that
end, just to remind people, that's the Anne Arundel Fund is a way that people can individually donate to certain programs and services that Anne Arundel County provides.
Correct.
Just to
if you have a favorite department, you know, or maybe a department has served you in a way that you'll never forget. For example, health, fire, aging, animal control. Yes, you can donate. And so then we want to make sure those funds are spent. But the nonprofits are a very, very important part of the fabric of our society. So our county relies on them, and our departments look forward to their submissions.
I call them our safety net. They really are our safety net, and they provide services that the county just doesn't provide. So they have to be there, and they have to survive and do well.
And guess what? The new grants management software will help us to manage those grants as well. The departments will be able to issue solicitations and also take the reports right online. Nonprofits will have a login. It's going to be much easier for everybody.
Cool.
Sandy, you got me all jazzed up about that.
Yeah.
I love grants.
Me too. Congratulations on your new software.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the studio. You're welcome back anytime. I always love people that are passionate about their work. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Week in Review right after this. Don't go anywhere.